beautiful 22nd Street landing. That's Danny Kadota. Danny, how are you?
Phil, just great.
Time for the Danny Kadota Show.
Oh man,
so many people love your show. You have so many decades of experience, so your knowledge is absolutely up here. But you know the comment I get about your show more than anything? What a nice gentleman. And I hear that over and over. Obviously, they don't know you very well.
They obviously don't.
I get it.
Well, I was a terror when I was a kid. Yeah. So, I mean, but
it's really true. It's really true.
Phil, fishing saved my life because from the time I was in kindergarten, I used to sit in the corners and I just had an active mind, and I would get in trouble. I'd fight. I did all, these things. And finally, my dad got tired of swatting me, and he knew there was one thing he could hold against me that I would respect and do anything for, and that was go fishing. So this is from the age of 5, he said, listen, I was put in the corners even in kindergarten, right? That's pretty bad. So he said, listen, if you could stay out of the corner, get your grades and behavior right, he says, you can go fishing with your grandparents. My mom's parents fished every single Saturday. So that was it. And in reality, at the age of 5, that changed my life.
It's kind of like Dan Lightfoot and Michael Limon. Michael was doing very poor in school, and Dan said, okay, no more fishing if you don't get your grades going. And, he holds that stick over his head.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
Perfect analogy. And then, one day, Michael will be probably running one of the boats.
Yeah.
Just like but I mean, his heart's there, you can tell, and it's just good. And, not only that, just spend that time with your grandparents and that's precious. When you look back at it, Michael, when he gets older, he's gonna go, God, those were some of the greatest days of his life.
Heck yeah.
And so there's no money on earth that could pay for that.
No,
there isn't.
You're
there
so
really
right.
Isn't. Yeah.
Look out in that camera right there and say hi to Dan Smith. He's in San Diego. He loves your show,
Dan
Danny.
Smith, how you doing? Ready to rock and roll? You got any questions? Fire away, Phil and I. We're ready to go.
Dan is quite a character. His wife, Kim, is another lovely human being. Not that Dan is a lovely human being. He's just kind of okay. Nah, he's a great guy. It's good to have you with us, Dan Smith. And Danny, we could go in so many different directions today. But let me just start out by telling everybody how the fishing is.
Sure.
Because it's been incredible. And then you can comment on it. Because I'm telling you, Danny, 102 white sea bass yesterday on the Coral Sea out of Santa Barbara. 97 halibut on the Mirage yesterday.
I see the pictures.
Wide open bluefin tuna fishing last night on the Pacific Voyager and several other boats last night. I was out twilight fishing after doing 10,000 steps at the LA Zoo with my grandson yesterday. I thought I was going to just fall asleep on the boat. And we had great sand bass fishing. That's the best it's been in, some guys are saying 18 years, 20 years, like that. You just go on and on and on about this year, and it's been absolutely incredible.
Phil, and to have it like that, I'm going to tell people, I'll tell you right now, any of you are interested in getting kids involved, or if you're a novice trying to get into it, you start out with the sand bass because it's very rewarding. It's you learn the basic things. It's an up and down type of fishing. You don't even have to cast, but you're out there on the boat. You're going to stay, like Phil says, with limits. It's just probably every drop your bit. And that's enough to get you hooked and to bring back a bag of fillets to feed your family and relatives and everything else. But it's just, to me, it was always one of the best starter fish for people coming into the industry, at the entry level. And then even for guys that have been around that just enjoy fishing that,
Yeah,
fishing them
100%.
in the day, But as you graduate up and you want to go offshore and go fish the yellowtail and bluefin, of course that hooks you in a different manner. That whole different set of gear, but you get more and more involved, and that's how you develop all your fishing skills to be able to handle anything here in Southern California. Then
My God, it's just like, and I didn't even mention the long range. The Independence has caught their first couple of 8 trip this year, so the first Wahoo on 8-day trips. They've had stupendous on all the American Angler, the Royal Plus,
yeah.
all those guys. Wide open yellowtail, wide open yellowfin tuna.
Yellowfin, beautiful yellowfin.
Yeah.
Beautiful green
You were just out?
Yeah,
Shoot.
we had beautiful yellowfin.
So it's incredible right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, these scores of 100 halibut. We didn't see those when we were kids, did? I didn't. I
Halibut
certainly
were
did
pretty
not.
rare.
Yeah.
I mean, it was odd to get more than a handful on
Right.
a boat, It was.
I mean, I always looked at that limit and said 5 per angler. What the hell? Why do they have it that way? Nobody ever gets that. Now they're getting it.
Well, and look at the Seabass.
Yeah.
So you can't tell me the efforts that were made by hubs like Bill Shedd and the Milt Shedd and them, the Seabass over the years hasn't paid back because we're seeing record numbers up in the Channel Islands all over. I mean, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing them above the Channel Islands, and then you look down at Cedros, all the way down there.
Yeah.
They're getting them. There's an
that's
incredible spread to this
That's-
Seabass thing.
That's phenomenal.
What a remarkable
Yeah.
comeback from
Absolutely.
a time when you and I were kids. And I remember the first white sea bass I saw caught on the Redondo Special. I looked at it and said, "What is it?" I was a 12-year-old pinhead.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I was like, "Oh my
No,
God."
You're right. It was very rare.
Yeah.
Very rare.
And now, and then they're getting these huge numbers on these things.
And you talk about a quality fish, another quality eating fish, and we're just talking about that, My God, take a pick. I mean, this is gourmet fish, folks.
Yeah.
This is high quality stuff.
Yep.
I mean, anywhere you go, whether you go north, south, everything that's coming in, it's all phenomenal eating. So,
Yeah. Yeah. And Rosenthal, who's a private boater, but he has Angle R pliers. Tony
What?
Gonzalez from 22nd Street.
Hey, man.
You want to come in and make a
Tony.
cameo?
Not really.
What do we got from
We
22nd
got
Street?
bass fishing. That's
Bass, come on for a
Tony,
second.
come on in. My God, you guys got to
Stand
meet the
there.
guy. Here's the man behind
You
the,
got to tell
the
yes,
window back here.
22nd Street Landing.
Yeah, come on,
is he
come on,
in?
get in there, Tony.
Yeah.
All right, good.
You should be able to. Here, let me. You want me to give you a mic or?
I'll just.
Here,
Yeah,
take
speak
it out.
It'll pick it.
No, we got some
Yeah.
bass fishing that's incredible. The best
Yeah.
that we've had in 12 years. 13
Yeah.
That is-
Some guys are saying 20 years.
20 years.
Yeah.
That is
Takes
phenomenal.
you back to when we were kids. So, with that said, we're running
Yeah.
twilights every single night, and it seems like they're getting limits every night.
Yep.
And it's $68 to get on the boat. It leaves at 6:30. Our half-day boat is catching them Monday through Friday, 10 to 4. Twice on the weekends, 6:30 and 12:30, and $68 again. Come on out and see us, man.
That is
Yeah.
affordable, and the fishing's not going to get any better than it is right now, right?
And on that Monte Carlo, on the half-day boat, you can, with a paid adult, Monday through Friday, you get to take a kid 15 and under for free.
Oh, shoot.
that doesn't-
And Monday through Friday.
Monday through
Does
Friday
not
with
get-
a paid adult. That's a $68 fare, and a kid gets.
That's a heck of a
That's
great
awesome.
bargain, man.
That's a
yeah.
heck of a deal.
Shoot.
That's a heck of a deal.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so great sand bass fishing. 310-832-8304. Or book online, right?
Book
26.
online, give us a call. We'll help you any way we can.
Tony, you're number one.
See you guys.
Thanks,
Man,
Tony.
thank you, Tony.
Thanks, bud.
Hey,
Tony
Sam-
Gonzalez.
Sam has a question.
Sam De La Torre. I'll get to Sam.
Tony.
Oh, Sam.
Oh,
When are we getting a weekday double half day?
Right now it's so slow we can't fill up the boat.
Yeah.
So we end up with 6 people in the morning, 6 people at night. So it makes more sense to get one boat.
One boat, yeah.
Center of the day.
But when the enthusiasm.
If we start filling up that boat, we'll move to it. We tried it and it didn't work.
Okay, perfect.
We'll go into it a little bit later.
Yeah. Sam De La
that's
Torre,
awesome.
there's your answer. Sam, I'll see you in about an hour or so.
Bye, Sam.
Tony sends his best to you, Sam. Tackle Shop Confessions live tonight at 6 p.m. Thank you, Anthony, our director out here. Anthony, when he's not decking on El Patron, is here running this show. So that's great to have him here with us. And he is hooked now on salsa lisano. My wife brought back salsa for him in Costa Rica.
Oh, my
and he's fallen in love with it. We gotta get one for him too.
yeah, give me
Amazon,
the.
$6.
Amazon, $6, man.
There
There you
you
go.
go.
Salsa Lisano. Roger Massage, whose wife is named Ruth, if I got the right guy here, and I know I do, Roger. Hi, Phil and Captain Danny Roger. Always good to have you with us. Dan Smith says, yes, Kim is the number one. It is Monday, so she's helping her auntie. I am cleaning and filing one of her little Komodo reels. Just happy to watch live. Great to have you with us, Dan. Matthew Martin. Hey, Danny and Phil. Danny, in your captain days, or commercial fishing days when fishing grounds. What advice do you have for private boaters who are new to it? Thanks, Matt. So maybe he's worried about the safety issue traveling at
you know
night,
what?
paying attention
I
to your
know-
radar, stuff
I
like
know
that,
we
right?
would say that, as a sport boat, obviously you don't want a guy crawling right up your wake.
Right.
But it would be safer for you to stay around in case something did happen. Stay within distance of keeping an eye, in distance. If you had something,
Some issue?
an issue, you could shoot a flare gun or whatever, and somebody on deck watch, or they'll be able to keep an eye on you. And as long as you're respectful, and
Paying
there's
attention to your
there's certain
radar.
protocols. Right. And
Not
when you
falling
go into
asleep.
yeah, when a big boat goes into a slide on a group of tuna or something, you don't generally just run up his chum line and start run up the middle and start pulling the chute and throwing scoops of bait. What you want to do is respectfully just sit a ways from it, so you're not going to hurt
He's
the
more
bite,
concerned
and
about
you're
that
good.
nighttime driving.
Nighttime
though.
driving
Yeah.
is stay within distance. Keep
Yeah.
an eye on- yeah.
Yeah, Matthew, what you don't want to do, when I ran a commercial boat, my brother and I, we took a 14-year-old kid. His name's Matt Schlurf. He became a police officer and worked for the FBI, and I'm really good friends with him to this day. I was like 18, Matt was 14, my brother was 16. We're going to Tanner Cortez Bank on a boat called the Thunderfish Fishing Commercial. Rock cod most of the time, but we catch albacore out there every once in a while too. And I took that 14-year-old kid, put him on the wheel, and I said, "You're just gonna go this way. I'm going to bed. I'm burned out, man. Good luck."
Yeah.
14 years old, man. He's
Oh,
going
my
by
God.
Rocky Point, by the west end of Catalina, and heading 90 miles or whatever it was, 100
Holy
miles out to
smokes.
Cortez. So Matt hasn't forgotten. Don't do that, Matthew. I'm just telling you, I wasn't very smart about that. Dan Smith says, "Danny looks great."
What?
Check your glasses, Dan. So tan and never gets
I haven't
old.
noticed that.
Never get old.
Oh yeah, I'm getting old.
I bet he could jump on the Mustang and put her on fish this very moment. Listen to this guy, the confidence he has in you.
Yeah,
Honestly,
I appreciate that. I wish I
He
could.
started drinking again, I guess, right?
We paid for it over the years, trust me. And it was funny because I was talking to Larry Moore today, who used to run boats, and he was trying to put together another one of those captain's trips that we had a couple
Oh,
of
yeah,
years
yeah,
ago, right?
yeah.
And I guess he couldn't get a hold of enough guys. And I'm sitting there, let's do it. And I'm thinking, now how stupid is that? I'm supposed to be going in to have my shoulder x-rayed. I'm going to be getting surgery on the shoulder, within a month or so,
Yeah.
probably. And I'm thinking, let's do it. After I told Larry I'd do it, I thought back, I go, I can't do that. I'm getting cut. What an idiot.
Yeah,
But
really.
that's what a kind of a nut fisherman I am, folks. And you can't get that. It's in your system. It's in your system. But, it is because it is so exciting out there, Phil, with all the different things going on. We just,
Jeez.
and we're not done with it. You never know the way things are going. Who knows? Maybe we'll see the wahoo again. Maybe we'll see, at the end of the season, the water's still cool enough. You might see those other crazy fish that are sitting above Point Conception that everybody wants, a little white meat tuna.
Maybe.
We don't know. We can't call it because,
70 on the way
Yeah.
to Catalina.
yeah.
Maybe,
See, and
man.
we never called it in, what year was that, 80, 84, when we had those fish in the channel here. We never expected those big albies to come out and come inside Catalina. That was crazy, So, as much as we're out there, as much as we had, experience and time on the water, we don't know, folks. Mother Nature dictates that, and I can bet that there's not a biologist out there that will put his reputation on the line to call that thing. So we've just learned you just have to take whatever Mother Nature gives you, and you run with it.
All right, well, here's a softball question for you from
Yeah.
Roger Massage. You're going to love this. He says, "Isn't it funny how they were saying sand bass were on a low, and look at these awesome anglers putting the wood on, lots being caught now. There's no shortage of sand bass, only bad stat reports." Yeah, they were going to close the whole sand bass season down, and now you look out and it's the best fishing, as Roger says, we've seen in 20 years.
Phil, that's one of the problems I've had over the years being in the industry, and you can take the biologists will take one specific year and use that rather than a span of maybe 20 years. What goes on? What they don't understand is that it cycles. The water's not exactly the same every year, so the conditions aren't the same. Certain fish don't travel point conception. But as much as we think we, as captains, experience with the experience we have, as much as we think we know, we don't. And they can throw you a curveball the next year. So there's things that from El Nino they said, oh, okay, I'll give a perfect example. El Nino, the water was really warm in 1983. We had phenomenal yellowfin tuna, big eyes, all that stuff, and the water was so hot. And you remember it, all the kelp died along the coast.
Yeah, that's what happens when you get hot
Biologists
water.
said everything's going to die, right? The ocean's going to die because it's hot. And I think I mentioned this before, that's when we ended up getting H&M because they kind of panicked because they were listening to the biologist. And in a short time, overnight, 1984, 85 were record albacore years. What? So we don't know. We really don't know. The biologists didn't know. They called it all wrong. Even as captains, on sport boats, we didn't know. We don't know. We take whatever's given. You just have to adjust to whatever Mother Nature and God gives us, and go from there. But yeah, and it's probably a good thing because if we knew all that, we'd probably wipe them out.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, great sand bass. I was out on the El Patron last night. We had great sand bass fishing. Sam de la Torre is chiming in here. He wanted to say hi to Tony, who's long gone, Sam. But Sam was on the Native Sun last night. He said the sand bass fishing last night was good. Fished the Native Sun last night. Awesome crew. Gally and Captain Aaron put us on fish all night long. Diego, his son, had some nice fish. We posted on our morning briefing show today. Awesome. So, I mean, like you said, perfect for kids and novice anglers.
Well, and Sam, it's got to be, wide open for you because you look at the diversity of fishing. You got groups of guys going down San Diego fishing, whether it's a yellowfin, the bluefin. It's there's so much going on. It's crazy.
Yeah, really.
And then you fish up here. You got the Seabass. You got everything going up here. So it's my God, what would you call it? It's just a smorgasbord. You just pick and choose whatever you want to target and go for it.
Yeah, I mean the guys. We were waiting for our El Patron trip last night. The El Dorado backed in. He had 33 bluefin tuna, 7 yellowtail, white sea bass, rockfish. Lingcod.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea of catching those offshore species like bluefin or albacore or anything like that, and having normally that would be your count. You're offshore.
Right.
You don't have any rockfish or anything. You're off on the Outer Banks.
You got halibut and Seabass.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. That's
crazy. It's crazy good.
It's time to go fishing, people. That's it.
It really
is just time to go.
Is. It really is. It's been...
and then check in with Sammy, your tackle shops, and they'll dial you in on all the tackle that you're going to need, depending on where you're leaving, what landing you're leaving from, what you're targeting.
Yeah.
And so these guys, they know exactly what's going on. You call the landing. I mean, there's a lot of ways of getting your intel, but generally for the tackle shops, like Sam will dial you in on exactly what tackle you're going to need. Well, all the shops will. They're all knowledgeable about that. So.
Yep, and you can check with Sam tonight when we'll be live at 6 p.m. from Island Fishing Tqckle on Tackle Shop Confessions. Chivo Robledo says, good afternoon, gentlemen. Chivo, really great to have you with us, my friend. Thank you so much for being here. Sam, when's the Island Fishing Sand Bass Charter? You might want to ask that. He may answer, but that's a good question for Tackle Shop Confessions, Chivo, at 6 p.m. Close. Hi, fellas. Love your show. When fishing with braided to cast irons or Colt Sniper, is it best with a or a long leader of mono? Close. That is an excellent question. Danny?
I use a combination. And the reason why I do this, you want a little bit of cushion, So I string a little bit of mono, and then fluorocarbon. But it's different because I have to go back to that one tuna trip we did with all the captains. Right?
Yeah.
And typically I'm looking at throwing a 9-foot rod. I want, especially with the reels I have, typically get out cast. I'm going to be outside of most of the people, so I use the very short top shot of fluorocarbon to Spectra because I'm getting a long cast. But not thinking Bluefin have the best size in the business, even though I was making the cast way outside everybody else, there wasn't enough, fluorocarbon or a length of mono. And the mono will give you a little bit of cushion too, because you're not going to get a whole lot of cushion. But with a 20-pound stick I had, it had the cushion was built in the action of the rod. But still, those Bluefin have the best size in the business, folks. And so I had to go up, which is very unusual, go up in line size because I had longer lengths of monofilament going into my fluoro. I just use a short fluoro top shot, but then I'll use mono in between. And I had longer stretches of mono in there where even on, I think my 25 had like about 50 yards of mono.
Yeah.
And so, it just depends on my outfit. And it was ironic because the rod I was
You mean if you're wearing a blue shirt or a different kind of outfit, you change your...
Yeah.
I got you. And iron, he's talking about like a Colt sniper rolling up on a jag of Bluefin. You want to toss in the middle of that. Are you going with that short top shot of fluoro in that scenario, or are you going with a long leader of mono?
I would still put Bluefin have great eyes, folks.
Even with the iron?
But at night, it's a little different. Yeah.
No, I think he's talking about like a Colt sniper. So you're rolling up on a foamer in the daytime.
I've noticed, especially in the daytime, and you saw when we did that Freedom trip. I mean, I had the very short top shot of fluoro to the light line.
Yeah.
Even though it was 20, it was very light.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting bit. The guys that were getting bit, even with mono, with a little bit of top shot of fluoro, were getting bitten. So I ended up lengthening it out. I actually fished every lane. And goodness, because I started hooking some of those bigger fish. But it took, a fair amount of mono, which also gives you a little cushion too.
Yeah.
You get a little bit of stretch out of it. There's less elasticity and elongation in fluorocarbon and Spectra. So, and particularly when I'm using straight fight, that rod is recoiling like this, as opposed to if you have glass in that rod, it's more like this. So it's giving you that cushion in the rod design.
Yeah.
With graphite, you don't have that. You don't have that give. It's very sharp. So having a little bit of mono to cushion it is a good thing too.
Yeah. That trip you're talking about with all the captains, and then you said you met with Captain Larry today, Larry Moore.
I talked to him, yeah.
Oh my God. The one thing I remember on that trip was Larry was on a really big fish, and Beaker, Craig Jacobs, he was just harassing the hell out of Larry. It was pretty funny. Larry was ready to kill him. That's part of the whole thing, but oh my God.
That was part of it.
Beaker was brutal. That was so
part
funny.
Of it.
Yeah,
that's big.
I would love to do that again, man.
Absolutely.
Yep, there's some really
Man,
precious.
the amount of years of
a great video.
Experience on that.
People go back. Oh my God, look, there's John Clacker. I haven't seen him for years, or whoever.
Well, I can tell you, Larry and we were fishing the same reels. That made a difference. Because a lot of the guys were using stuff that was pretty antiquated, and we, fortunate to have state of the art, accurate small little 2-speed. So when you hook a 60 to 100 pound fish with that light line, you still have a chance because you got a button.
Yep.
And you got a drag system that's about maybe 3 times the size of a jig master or a squidder, which guys were using, and a lot of them hadn't been fishing in years and hadn't been up to date on a lot of the tackle, whether it was graphite or fiberglass or the whole deal, or fluorocarbons. Dialing in every aspect of it makes a big difference in the end.
Yes.
So that's one thing. And it was funny because Larry and I, we just talked about that the other day. We were just trying to put together another one, and I'm all excited. Yeah, count me in. And then I get off the phone for about 10 minutes. I go, what a dummy. I'm supposed to get my shoulder operated on.
Larry's not going to put it together. Don't worry about it.
So that's what I hear. So,
all right, good stuff. I love it. Manila Ice Cream. That is Jason, who we had on our morning briefing this morning, holding up a whole bunch of Seabass. He was on the freelance recently. He said squid were great this weekend. Bait tanks were 70-degree water, and the anchovies were barely moving at all. Yeah, if you would have asked me what to fish with before we walked on the El Patron last night, I would have said chovy for sure. Drop a chovy. I think squid worked much better. And the other thing that I saw happening was Chris, on the PA saying, man, the fish are up high. We're seeing most of the fish up high. Guys are fishing with a sliding egg, getting bit. But Daphne, who was on the trip, she was fishing with like a 6 or 8 ounce torpedo. So she was bombing down to the bottom, and she was catching these big quality sand bass with great regularity. So there was something to that. She was fishing squid, but she was bombing down, maybe past the little ones. I don't know.
Right. And you know what? When you're catching big ones consistently, it's not luck, folks.
Yeah.
And as a fisherman, as an astute fisherman, it's your job to pay attention, because all that's information going right in front of your nose. And if you're not picking that up, you're not paying attention.
Well, that's a great point.
You have to be able to adjust and make that change. Otherwise, you're going to continue to do what you do. If you're catching the smaller fish, fishing the smaller live baits or whatever it is. But, when in Rome, you do as the Romans. And that's an important thing.
Anybody paying attention yesterday would have seen her doing that.
Oh,
You're right. You're so right about
That's
that.
That's exactly what you have to do. And it's not just on any trip, whether you're tuna fishing or sand bass fishing. Doesn't matter. The person that's consistently catching fish, to catch them consistent has nothing to do with luck, folks. They're doing something right.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
So you got to pay attention.
Jason was on our live on TikTok, El Patron Live.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Very nice. Manila ice cream. Good to have you with us. Stoked for life. That is Charles Weber down there in the East Cape. And Charles, it is great to hear from you. I understand I got a report from Charles right before we came on air. It was windy when he got down there a few days ago. The wind stopped. And he said today fishing was much, much, much better, much improved.
Awesome.
So acts like it's going to bite down there. Cool. And that is a great place. Have you fished Los Barriles, Palmas de Cortez?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, man, that's great. Yeah, I've had so many great trips down there. Really, really great place for sure. So, Charles, great to have you with us. I was trying to work in a live update with you. I don't know if I'll be able to pull that off or not, but maybe at 5:30ish, we might be able to sneak in a good 10-minute little update from Island Fishing Tqckle before we go on the air with Sam over there at Tackle Shop Confessions. As always, Charles, good to see you. Looking forward to seeing you soon. And Mad Dog saying hi to him also. Really good stuff. We've also been seeing some great barracuda action, mostly south of the border, Danny, but wide open barracuda down there in Ensenada right now. They have great bluefin fishing.
And it doesn't it seem like it's late for the barracuda?
Everything seems a little late, right? Yeah.
It's odd, yeah.
I mean, that's what
we'll take it, but I mean, still, it's typically that's our May fish.
Yeah, right.
Early June.
Right now it's July, and they're just hitting their stride. You get it up there too. Up there, I see like the gentleman out of Cisco's with some good barracuda scores. So it's been pretty good up there.
Well, it's nice to see the volume of fish in general, though. That's a good sign.
Yep,
that's a great sign.
All right, back to Charles. Stoked for live. Yeah, Mad Dog. Good to see you. Mad Dog's got a fan out there. Mad Dog's got a lot of fans, man. Gotta watch this guy, man. He's great. Antonio Cuesta. You know Tony Cuesta?
Yes, I do.
I do too, man. I knew his father.
Tony's the man.
I worked with Tony for many years ago. Sign me up. Phil, if you get that trip together, the captain trip, I'm interested. Business data, what's up? Danny, he wants to know what's up with you, man. Tony used to come down here every once in a while.
Tony's such a great guy, and we had the blessing of working with all these guys back in the old days here on 22nd Street and Ports of Call.
I worked with him in Redondo. Yeah, and his dad.
Awesome, absolutely.
Sister.
Yeah.
I know.
Tony, get your butt down here. We got to do a trip. Well,
Antonio, get down here. What's wrong with you, man? Danny and I want to see you again. He's got some great horse racing stories that I will not tell right now, but he was involved like in horse racing for a little bit, and man, I learned a lot of cool stuff from him. So good stuff. Matt Cox, hey Phil, I still need a friend with a boat. Oh man, Tom Durr, he's got a boat. I don't know how friendly he is nowadays. Kind of a grouchy. Oh, sorry. Did I say that about Tom?
What do you mean nowadays?
Yeah. Tom's been grouchy his whole life. Tom was born grouchy, like a little baby. How the hell can a little baby be grouchy?
as much as a lot of times we butted heads, we had a lot of fun together.
Did you butt heads?
When he was, land, working at Portugal.
Yeah.
And,
Running the whole show over there.
Yeah. He had his little skipjack over there, and we would poach each other and stuff. And I could tell you one time, I'd bring Tom in, just one scenario where I'm coming back from Catalina on a Sunday, and these guys.
What boat are you running?
On my Mustang.
Okay.
Coming in, and they were just getting into the late afternoon. The second half-day trip was getting some white sea bass at Point Frieman. So I slide in there because we had squid. We had squid on my Sunday trip. Saturday, Sunday, the weekend we had squid, full tanks of squid, and we come in there, and we picked a few. I told my guys, hey, you guys got to rig up a couple of rods. We're going to make a quick stop here at Point Frieman. We stopped at Frieman, and we whacked a couple sea bass. Well, so we get back into the dock, and I tell my crew, goof off tomorrow, goof off trip. This is where we do it just with the crew, right? So we get a handful of guys. I put all the squid in the receiver. Well, that night, a bunch of those turkeys down there off the Fury and the Ocean Quest guys raided
Your
my
squid?
receiver. They didn't take all of it, they took a bunch of it.
Yeah.
And they went out and they picked a few fish back at Frieman, right?
Yeah.
So we get down there in the morning and I go, oh, those dirty rats. So anyway, we had it, we put it in the tank, and we get out there. Well, Tom Durr's by himself on the skipjack, and he's already anchored in place. And it's kind of coming out of the west, the wind's coming out of the west a little bit breezy, and it's foggy as heck, right? And so Tom's sitting there, he's already got one fish or two fish hanging. He's by himself, he's got two hanging.
That
Right?
doesn't surprise me,
Right?
man.
Like 1 foot on one rod, and he's fighting the other one. Well,
He's ballsy, too. He'll go by himself.
Oh, yeah, well, he was
Yeah.
in that skipjack. So, I had the Tanaka boys, Junior, we had on my crew, and some of my good friends. And I think there's only maybe 8, 10 of us. And I just remember my crew so antsy because they saw Tom hanging. He had 2 fish hung, one in each hand, that we didn't set the anchor right? So as the anchor is hanging, I'm sitting there, and I still have the engines running, and I could feel the boat sliding back. Well, we slid back and pushed Tom off the spot.
You bumped into his boat?
Oh
my
we had
God,
to hold
that's
it off,
funny.
right?
Was he yelling at you?
Oh yeah, but I mean, I don't blame him. Of
course he was,
But
yeah.
the crew tied it off. We didn't hang it; they just tied it off, and it was dragging till we finally did hang. But by that time, we kind of
Pushed
pushed
him.
him off the spot, right?
He must
so now
have
we
been
got
fuming.
we had his 2 fish limit, right? So we had alpha position, and we just went bendo.
Oh,
wow.
wow.
We could have had them there on the spot. We could have had these white sea bass on the lift pole if we wanted,
Oh, my
But
God.
it was crazy. Yeah.
What a bite,
Yeah,
huh?
It was unbelievable.
That's what you get, Tom, for being a grouchy old
You
guy.
don't remember that, but yeah,
Just kidding.
that was what a defensive move, Tom. Right? That was one of the best defensive moves. It knocked you off the spot, literally.
Tom's too much, man. Hey, Matt, I hope you find that guy, that friend with a boat, man. I really do. Really appreciate you being here also, my friend. Really great stuff. Man, just to go back to the Channel Island bite now they have the bluefin starting to slide in there. So they literally can go catch halibut, white sea bass, bluefin. The Endeavor up there has been doing absolutely fantastic. Hey, I should mention the Island Spirit on Wednesday will be focused on halibut only. And Daniel Hadaway, who runs the boat, has been doing a great job. Ventura Sportfishing.com, or you can call 805-676-3474. And he's been doing great with the Island Spirit out of Ventura, but the endless opportunities and the options that anglers have now. If you're a charter master,
This is how you pick it. You put yellowtail, white sea bass, sand bass. This, and you
throw a
just go-
dart or what?
you just
Oh, yeah, there
spin
you
it
go.
and oh,
yeah, I know, because you have so many different options available
that's
now.
amazing. Yeah. That's phenomenal. That's a blessing, folks. Taking your pick. You go to San Diego and get the bluefin, or whatever you do. Extend the trip a couple more days. You get down the yellowfin area, yellowtail. I mean, and then up here, the fishing's phenomenal.
Yep. So I'm going to give you a couple of scenarios. You're going to be the charter master. You give me a quick answer, okay? You're going to have 2 species. You tell me what you're going to go for, bluefin or white sea bass. That's not a quick answer.
I've caught so many bluefin in my life, but the white sea bass, when you get into good white sea bass bites, that's pretty precious. Doesn't happen all the
We
time.
would agree on that one.
Does not happen that often. So, many of you, and there's a lot of guys out there probably maybe never even had them.
Yeah.
I would do that if, because it's not as common as you will see with tuna. Tuna are going to be around for the summertime.
Bluefin or halibut. And I'm talking like scores like 100 halibut.
I've seen them. I mean,
Yeah.
right, where they have the halibut and the sea bass on the deck.
Yeah.
I mean, it's phenomenal.
What would you pick?
Well, given the halibut and sea bass deal is much more rare than, say, the bluefin.
Yeah.
And stuff. And it's a totally different game.
So what would you pick?
I would probably go fish at this rate, the halibut sea bass.
We're in complete agreement so far.
Yeah.
Bluefin or yellowtail? Good yellowtail. 100 fish.
Good yellowtail fishing is always a lot of fun because
Man, these four bluefin are
the
taking a
area,
beating
so-
on the show tonight.
yeah. Well, we got to give them
But I
a
agree
little
on
break,
every one of those. I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I could say bluefin or rockcod, and we're both going to say
Well, when you-
bluefin. I love rockcod fishing, but come on.
Yeah. Well, when you do a
Bluefin.
multi-day, you do a multi-day trip down south. You're going to probably get both anyway. You
Yeah.
get the yellowtail and the bluefin.
And I wonder, Danny, if you and I had this question that we're both in agreement on. We've both been in this business a long time. If we had this question 10 years ago, what would we have said? Because we're used to these bluefin tuna coming out our ears now, big fish, but there was a time when
White sea bass were so rare.
that is true.
We would drop anything. I could remember the days that we had, like I say, the white open sea bass bites. I mean, I can count those on less than one hand, pretty much,
Yeah.
folks. So you got a great opportunity to hit your bucket list fish, folks. It's time to just spin that pen and just go, and just rig for it, But the numbers that are coming out, Phil, to see limits like that, I see pictures every day of the deck loads of the sea bass, and stuff coming in from up north. That halibut, I'm going, that's pretty precious. That's pretty rare.
Yeah.
We don't see it. We haven't seen it like that in a long, long time. So that would be, to me, something that you just have to go. You got to do it, And I think you'll have an extended time over the summer to get your tuna, bluefin, yellowfin, everything else in. So, while it's open, that's much rarer than, say, a bluefin bite or yellowfin bite. So.
Hit that like button, everybody. We deeply appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe to the Friedman Adventures YouTube channel and tick that rotten, filthy, disgusting little bell, and you'll be notified when there's new content. You can also follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. More questions, man. What a show tonight. We are rocking here with Danny Kadota, longtime captain in Southern California, who has every answer to every question you could possibly ask. And if he doesn't, he will defer to me, at which point I will run out of the room. All right, Dave Clark is joining us. Dave, good to have you with us, my friend. Gentlemen, leaving Wednesday on your favorite boat, the American Angler. I can only dream we find yellowtail and white sea bass. Dave, how many day trip are you on, man? But
Yeah.
one of your favorite boats, right?
Oh, absolutely. Brian and all the kids and Ray and their whole crew, just phenomenal. I've been, my loyalty has been to them because, like I said, the succession was Brian was all the loyalty to all the guys that work for us to support them in their businesses. And they've taken it far above and beyond anything that we had back in those days. And Brian, I've told the story before, but I can remember the day Brian would say, "Hey, you come up in the warehouse, I want to talk about this and that." And I go up in the warehouse, and he'd say, "What do you think about this, and this?" I just looked at him. I said, "Brian, you see all this stuff in the warehouse? None of this stuff existed when I was running boats." I says, "You know more than I ever knew, And I says, "You're putting way too much pressure on yourself. Let Ray run the boat." So Ray's been running, and Ray's kicking butt, But I mean, all of them. I mean, it's a progression when you learn, from your mentors, and you grow up in that industry, you learn things from all the different captains, and you put it in that storage thing, and you have that repertoire from, all the different experiences. Man, your odds are so much better when you're running with captains that have that experience, and that's just a huge blessing. And that that's true for all the boats here
Yeah.
up and down the coast. You know, those guys that fish the Channel Islands, they know those areas. So when the sea bass and those fish come into those areas, they know better than we do. That's their backyard. Where Catalina Clemente was ours and down south.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's phenomenal.
Dave Clark is going to be on a Ken's Custom Reel trip. It's going to be a 3-day trip. Man, I'll tell you, Dave, you're looking down the barrel of some extraordinary fishing right now. That nighttime bite for several guys last night was phenomenal. A lot of 40, 70-pound stuff, fish over 100 pounds. It bit like crazy. It seems like it got into that full moon funk for a while, Danny.
Yeah.
But it seems like it's out of that. I'm thinking tonight's going to be a big night for the boys.
Yeah.
Last night was a great night.
Too. Yeah, it cycles. But yeah, you guys are going to whack them. They've got their game plan, I'm sure, already set.
Yeah.
They're dialed in. I know how they do their homework, and it's a done deal. You're going to kill them.
All right, this gentleman, 03 RS Kiddo 3. What is it?
Maybe some kind of motorcycle, I guess?
Okay, maybe it's a motorcycle. I'm woefully ignorant on that. I think it is.
RSX.
Or it's, yeah. Anyway, biggest black sea bass landed from the surf on an artificial with black sea bass from the surf.
No idea either.
No idea, my
Going
friend.
down south.
I've seen them, caught that way, but I don't know. I'm woefully ignorant on that subject also. Live free, die free. Evening, young men. Man, we love anybody who calls us young men, man.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Here, you better use my glasses to show you our really. Well, you don't have as much.
I
Salt.
dye my beard.
Salt, yeah.
I dye.
Okay,
I
okay,
got exactly
okay,
what
yeah,
you got there. And I dye. I make this point all the time. I don't care what anybody else. I don't like looking in the mirror. I look at it when I have the gray, and I go,
Yeah.
God darn, I'm a freaking old. I don't like that feeling. I like still acting like a child and a 2-year-old. Man, I put on a
rationalizes-
show at that LA
There you
Zoo
go.
yesterday for that 1-year-old grandkid of mine. I had
Oh,
him.
you went swinging?
Yeah,
Swinging from the
oh
vines?
my God, I was doing all that stuff, man. I never stop. I'm running around like crazy. By the way, when we walked in there was a protest going on. So these people, what was the chant was, LA Zoo, shame on you. So I told my son Philip, he goes, don't go, what are you doing? And I go, I'm just going to go videotape it real quick. So I went up and I got on.
Yeah.
And I said, what is it about? Can you tell me what it's about? Because I honestly wanted to know.
Yeah, sure.
What the animals are caged up or some other issue. And I swear to God, they just start chanting louder. Like, why can't you just, can we talk? I'm not here on either side of it. I'm just trying to learn what's going on. LA Zoo! They start screaming. And then one girl hides her face. I'm like, what the hell are you guys? What is going on here? It's like crazy.
Phil,
it was fun though. I
so
enjoyed
sad.
that part of it.
In some respects, I'm glad we are at our age because we won't have to see it for another 40, 50 years.
Oh my God, Danny,
Whatever.
you're cutting us
I
out
go,
here.
oh
I'm
my
planning
God.
on living another
Come on.
340 years.
I just want to go up to them and just bitch slap them. What is wrong with you, idiot?
Boom!
You know.
Man, Danny, calm down. This is a family show. Hey, we only
With
have
common sense, though, folks. I'm
12
sorry.
more minutes and we've done an hour here. It's unbelievable
Holy smokes.
how fast this is. One thing that is going on in Southern California with our sport fishing right now is that people now have to fish with anchovies. And there's some problems out there with it. I mean, there's guys on 3-day trips now, and that's all they have is trophy. Now, at night, you're fishing jigs, you're catching the bluefin, you're doing good. But in the daytime, you're fishing kelps for yellows and bluefin offshore. Danny?
That's where us old guys have a little bit of an edge.
Yeah.
We're used to using a number 4, number 6 at times, when we were light line bluefin in it. But, having that lighter rod, a tuned up reel, and getting that longer cast and lower collar hooking is what I do generally on a chovy. But then if you're going to do that, you got to correspond with a lighter wire hook. You want a stronger hook, but it's got to be a lighter wire to get the effectiveness out of that chovy. So, and then a lot of that depends on the size of the fish. I mean, obviously, if you're getting fish over 25 pounds or so, you may have to step up to a higher grade wire.
Yeah.
But, generally, when you're fishing light line, and if fish are in the 20-pound or less, you can get away with the light gamakatsus, the owners, mustads, eagle claws, the little lighter hooks before you go in up into the double X's and stuff like that, When you start getting the bigger fish, that's tougher.
Yeah, it
To
is.
present a chovy with a heavier hook.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because the bait doesn't look too natural, and you got to work at that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right, that's
so
old
welcome to our world from before,
That's
right?
how we used to fish the bluefin, folks. You had to scale down, And fortunately, you got reels that could cast really well now. You can go with a medium top shot of mono with a tip floral and spectra, so you can get a longer cast, especially with these. And I'm using straight graphite, but I mean, you guys, if you have fiberglass, use a longer rod that'll get extended, especially with the chovy, So,
And
keep
Danny,
that in mind.
Maybe you and I still feel a little weird about this, but I have been recommending, if you're catching 8 to 15 pound yellowtail and maybe bluefin that are 8 to 30 pounds, they've got some really high quality spinning reels now, and you're going to get some distance with
absolutely,
that, right?
absolutely. It's not the old spinning wheels we used to have back in the old days. I mean, back then it was a Quick or a Mitchell 302, and those were the big saltwater offshore reels, but they, the drags were small.
Yeah.
The reels now have come a long, long way.
Yes, they have, no doubt.
You can, I'm not comfortable, and most of my small conventionals, I can cast, I'm sure, pretty equally, especially with having, fishing the graphite rods, you're getting the distance out of those too. So
Yeah.
that's my route that I go.
All right, Live Free, Die Free, doing his thing with his grandkids, and we get a Utah update. He's just back from Utah. No trout, but caught 7 or so carp. He said the bottom line is the grandkids had a ball. And that's what it's all
that's
about.
What counts.
Nice going.
That's what counts.
Big Block 760's got the Ensenada update. He's just back from beautiful Ensenada, about 70 miles down below the border there. Hey, man, I really appreciate this info. Just got back from Ensenada, trolled Mad Max all day. No bluefin tuna, but got a couple of yellowtails on a yo-yo jig. Some boats caught yellowfin tuna and bluefin tuna, 20 to 40 pounds on the troll. That yellowfin, keep seeing it, little spurts of it. It's not there yet, but we're seeing the progression. It's starting to happen.
And then that stuff coming up from down below is a nice grade too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very nice.
Nice. In fact, Carlos Cortez I thought it was a bluefin because I just looked at the video really fast and I posted. It was big, man. It looked like a 100-pound fish. And Carlos sent me a message and said, hey, that was a yellowfin, by the way. And he had a big yellowfin up there around Ensenada the other day, like 100-pound fish.
Yeah, that's
gorgeous
nice.
fish,
That's
man.
awesome.
So that's good stuff. Big Block, thanks for that. Hey, Daniel, and that is Sarge from Redondo, man. Good to have you with us. Tim W. Tim, thank you so much for being here on the Danny Kadota Show. Appreciate all your great support. And he asked a really good question and something that can help when you're casting a chovy. He says, hey, Danny, do you use split shots or any kind of weight when you're fishing with an anchovy?
When I'm fishing with an anchovy, I'm always going to fly line it to start. I mean, there's times you can, but, the whole thing is the natural presentation. And if you're even a small split shot, it's going to inhibit the chovy because, a small shot with comparable weight to the weight of the anchovy, it's going to inhibit their natural swim. And so, to get it, particularly, depending on the species, especially if it's bluefin, I think you can get away with it with a yellowfin or an albacore, but with bluefin when they're touchy, it's gotta swim down and away naturally, and so it's a lower collar hook, sometimes a butt hook, and playing around with hook placement with light wire hooks with the small bait is important.
Yeah.
The only problem is if you start hanging some big fish, you're gonna have to escalate to a bigger grade wire, on your hook size.
Yeah. When you do fish with those weights, I've seen guys gill hook and fish that way, but Most guys are going to hook it up through the bottom of the mouth and close the nose.
The nose.
Because you get bit on the retrieve sometimes.
Right. You get it down and away, and you could just wind it and get them on the wind a lot of times too. Yeah.
Mike the Cranker Krinkovich joins us now. Thank God he didn't come down to visit us. Although I do miss him out there, like talking to himself during the show. I'm like, what's he doing out there? Hey, Mike, good to have you with us. Mike's on our morning briefing every day, sometimes arguing with the new guy, the Richard Hughes, the guy that wrote the new song for Friedman Adventures in the morning briefing song. Mike, good to have you with us. Carver Grubber. Hey, Carver, thank you so very, very much for being here. I'm about to go on a twilight trip for sand bass. What size weights do you recommend? Where are you going, man? Are you going to be here at 22nd Street Landing? If you are, we're here, man. Drop your head, stick your head in the studio and say hi. So, Carver, I was out last night, and as I said a little bit earlier in the show, but I'll repeat just because obviously you didn't get it. There were guys catching them on like a half-ounce sliding egg sinker, but that this is going to work for you tonight. But a girl, Daphne, was out. She was fishing a big old torpedo sinker. It looks like something you'd use for rock cod fishing. I think it was an 6 ounce for sure. And she was bombing down to the bottom with a piece of squid and consistently catching big sand bass, including she went up against another great friend of Friedman Adventures, Pedro, last night. They went at it on the jackpot, and Daphne prevailed. She won the jackpot, and she was fishing a big, and she was like, everybody else was fishing lighter stuff. She was fishing that big torpedo with a piece of squid down on the bottom. And man, she did fantastic, including winning the jackpot. So
that says it all.
Danny was talking about observing, right?
Yeah, that's it. You know, you watch people on the boat, folks, and people that are consistently catching fish, they're not lucky. They're doing something right. You know, and you have to just say, listen, you either change and adapt, or you go home saying, oh, that person got lucky. Well, I got news for you. I ran boats for a lot of years. The people that consistently catch fish, it's not luck. They're doing something correct somewhere down the road. So observing when they're catching fish like that, if you're not willing to adapt and change, that tough day is on you. That's stubbornness, and all of us, you know, as fishermen, thinking that, well, we caught fish differently last time. Well, that was last time. This is today.
Yeah.
And you got to make that. You got
Things
to
change.
adapt daily.
Yep.
You know, and running boats all those years, I saw that the changes overnight a lot of times, and you just have to be the first ones to make those changes. I don't care whether you're fishing offshore or anything. You observe somebody doing something, and catching them consistently has nothing to do with luck. He's doing something right.
There you go.
So you got to watch.
All right, Mike Krinkovich, the Cranker. I'm close to you guys. I'm over here at Point Vincenti. Hey, everybody, the show's over. Thank you so much. I'm getting the hell out of here. He's about 10 minutes away, right?
Lock the doors?
Yeah. Anthony, batten down the hatch. The Cranker, we're all done. We're out of here. This is recorded. We're faking everybody out. All right, Mike, it's good to have you near us. And yes, Charles Webb says he loves the morning briefing song. I love it too, man. I sing it in the shower, you know? Yeah, that's how depraved I am, deprived. Chivo Robledo wants to know your thoughts on ringed hooks. Do you think they give anchovies or sardines more action?
Oh,
Ringed hook.
absolutely. Absolutely. Because when you're putting a hook that's tied in, depending on your knot, that knot, if you see it, if you tie a knot and it holds it straight out, it's pretty rigid, right? Well, on a small anchovy, that inhibits its natural swim. So when you have a ring, you know, it gives them that much more freedom. That little action makes a big difference on a touchy. And I'm going to tell you, going by like a bluefin bite or albacore, any of those things, that ring will give you, you know, an edge for getting hooked because it's easier to tie, but yeah. But it has more of a natural reaction. When it's tied straight, it's inhibited because that knot creates, you know, it solidifies that area. It doesn't give that chovy that little freedom to move around like normal. And that, if, you know, it's like you guys walk up to a barbecue, you're going to, you know, you look at a hamburger that's cooked and one that's really not too appetizing, which one are you going to pick? You know, the one that swims natural is the one that's the fish is gonna pick, unless maybe it's a, sand bass or something like that. But even then, I would say that I would use the edge that you have on making the natural presentation with any fish, even if it's a sand bass. If it's gonna give you an edge for anything, I would take it. It just gives you a better presentation.
There you go, Chivo. Thanks for the question. And Carver's back. Carver Gruber's back with us. Carver says, thank you. I appreciate that. I did the same thing about 2 weeks ago. I used about a 4-ounce torpedo sinker with a full squid and won the jackpot also. Man, we're letting your jackpot secrets out here. Carver, you and Daphne. Yeah, it worked really well for her. And I mean, it was consistent. I watched her, man. And she knew. She would say, there's another big one, and she was right on, and she did really, really great. Franker Krinkovich says, I have a burger, thanks, Danny. I'll have a burger. I'm sorry. I'll have a burger in future tense. There you are. Mike the Cranker Krinkovich. Danny, 1 hour in the books.
Wow.
What can I tell you? Did that fly by or what?
Yes, it did.
We thank all of you for the great questions, right? All these guys out here.
Absolutely.
Keep this show going, and it is always such a pleasure. Danny, anything you want to say to those people out there?
Well, I
your
think
fans?
One thing that we did see, and we brought it to light tonight too, which is very true. Successful fishing, when you see somebody doing it and you emulate it, and then you start catching, there's a reason for it. And a lot of guys, their reason is they got lucky. Well, no. When you're consistently catching fish, it's not luck. There's something you're doing right that's making that consistency and getting bit all the time.
Yeah.
It's not luck. So, that observation goes back eventually to you guys as anglers to make those observations. And then when you get off the boat, you just don't look at the person that's got that full sack, say he got lucky. Luck didn't have any. I ran boats for a long time. Luck doesn't have anything to do with it. Consistency has to do with proper gear and observation and the ability to change over and to do what they're doing. And you'll find that works for you.
Danny will be back with yours truly next Monday at 4 o'clock right here from 22nd Street Landing in San Pedro, California, where they have twilight sand bass fishing trips every single night. You can also join the El Patron Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights by going to www.longbeachsportfishing.org. Hey, and Chiba has another question. Phil, was she using a dropper loop? She was using a reverse dropper loop, as I remember, Chivo. I believe that's what she was doing. She was red hot, won the jackpot, caught her biggest sand bass in her life also, so it was a fun night. No question
that's
about it.
awesome.
Danny, thanks, my friend.
Hi, Phil.
Let's say thanks to all the people out there.
Absolutely. Thank you, folks.
God bless you. Thanks for being here. We're back at 6 p.m. from Island Fishing Tqckle with Tackle Shop Confessions. Danny and I will be back next Monday at 4 o'clock. Thank you, Danny.
See you, Phil.
All right.
Thank
Good
you.
stuff, man.